It's impossible. Tell the sun to leave the sky. It's just impossible.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. Piebald says, Lady C, do you know that Vladimir Putin's security carried his pee back to Russia after his meeting with Trump in Alaska? So no one could examine it and see if he has a sickness. Would that be why Meghan will not allow the children to go to the UK? When they were little, she wouldn't carry dirty diapers around during a visit. Now I read that a person's DNA can be found in urine. Will they ever return to the UK for that reason? You've asked a very interesting question. And I'm going to tell you what I was told. Because as we all know, at least those of us who follow this program, Queen Elizabeth II asked Harry and Meghan to bring up the two children to Balmoral and prepared a suite of rooms for them. And even when they declined it, she still had those rooms kept in reserve and let them know it. Now, what was the reaction to people in certain circles, to be discreet about this, when they issued a categoric refusal? What was the reaction? Well, I'm going to tell you what the reaction was. Well, let me start out by saying that members of the extended royal family, that is, cousins, who are not actual members of the royal family, because the royal family stops with those who are royal highnesses. Everybody else is not royal. So, for instance, Princess Anne's children are not technically members of the royal family, although they are members of the family that is royal. And so cousins of the Queen and of the present King, what some of them said, one of them evidently grabbed a bit of someone's hair and said, pulled it out and said, you see why she can't bring those children. And other people said, there's no, even before the refusal came in, people are saying there's no way those children are going to come, because Harry and Meghan are not going to dare to take the chance of bringing them, because they are going to be nervous that the children will be subject to such scrutiny, and also what's going to happen to the nappies, the used nappies, for instance. So there was already speculation in certain quarters, to be diplomatic, that they weren't going to dare to bring the children, because they were worried that if they brought the children could be, shall we say, investigated. Now, why did this even come up as an issue? You have to ask yourself the question, why did Meghan remove, upon a statutory declaration of her own initiative, the identifying features that made her uniquely qualified and identifiable as the sole possibility of the mother of Archie? Because Meghan is the one who, by her statutory declaration, had her Christian names removed from Archie's birth certificate. According to the royal family, they did not do it. They did not instruct her to do it. They had nothing to do with it, and they didn't even know it was being done until after it was done. Why did she do this? And there has been speculation as to her motives. And of course, the people most concerned with this would be the people who are a part of the family, because they would be concerned as to the consequences of any action that would involve them and or the institution of the monarchy in speculation that would be undesirable. I'm choosing my words very carefully, but I'm sure you can understand the points I'm trying to make. Since they maintain that they did not do this, it raised the question in everybody's mind, why did Meghan do it? And one of the inescapable conclusions that logic drove everybody to arrive at, and there were other conclusions that could be arrived at as well, but the conclusion that is relevant to this topic at this time is that Meghan had done it so that should there ever be any investigation into or inspection of or controversy surrounding, or, well, let's leave it at that. I think you'll get the picture. As to Archie's arrival, that she had done something that could drop them in the brown stuff and protect herself against the consequences of her actions. Do you begin to see why it came as no surprise to certain people that Meghan and Harry were never going to bring those children back to the United Kingdom, where they would be open to inspection, for want of a better word? Let's be polite about this all. Which then raised the question, why? What if you have nothing to hide? Would you be avoiding hiding? Why can't you be an open book? Why do you have to be a closed book? But there's been no possibility of anybody getting within 50 paces of those children. And that evidently is the speculation as to why Meghan and Harry not only made sure they declined the Queen's invitation, even though they had to have known she was dying, and they could actually have come without the children, but she had asked them with the children. And it would have been really odd had they not brought the children, because she wanted to get to know the children before she died. She was not allowed to know the children before she died. Her great-grandchildren. There was, I understand, no doubt in her mind that those were her great-grandchildren, and whatever speculation there was beyond that was incidental, and it also was a hope against hope that all the rumors that were permeating the whole of royal life as to the arrival of those children was untrue, or that the rumors were untrue, and that they were unfounded, and that they had nothing to do with the way the children had arrived, that they had arrived in keeping with what Harry and Meghan have maintained throughout, and that this was actually going to prove that all the speculation was unfounded, instead of which, by declining the invitation and making sure they dodged that bullet, that Harry and Meghan simply reinforced all doubt that existed and increased the speculation. And I have to tell you, there are members of the family who have been absolutely vociferous about the fact that they do not believe X, Y, Z, A, B, and C, and they don't believe it because of D, E, and F. And it all comes down to Meghan and, to a lesser extent, Harry's behavior. And it was no surprise to them when the Queen's invitation was declined. Unbelievable, no? Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, to me, it boggles my imagination that we can actually be speaking on this subject at this time in the way we're speaking about it. Absolutely boggles the imagination. Anne Campbell says, "Dear Lady C, what about the wonderful article from Major Edward Fortescue decrying has no balls corrupt way in charities? Has no balls should pay back all the Invictus funds, private jets, fashions, hotels, etc. Money that should go straight back to the vets. That is a very interesting and a very telling comment. And I am going to read out to you what, because I need to find it, what Major Edward Fortescue. Now, the Fortescues are actually of an impeccable upper class family with a fine military tradition. And this Edward Fortescue has himself down as Edward Fortescue IV. You can Google Edward Fortescue and you will see that there are many eminent Edward Fortescues who have served this country. And Edward Fortescue deserves an absolute medal for taking the bull by the horns and coming up with this posting. And I'm going to read it out because I was sent it. Edward Fortescue at Edward IV, 63. The wounded veterans of Invictus are done, utterly and irrevocably done, with Harry and that fame-hungry parasite he married. They've seen war, they faced death, they've dragged their broken bodies through fire and blood, and now they are expected to play supporting roles in the grotesque theatre of two narcissists desperate for applause. Meghan Markle is not a humanitarian. She is a scavenger, circling the sacred with cameras in tow, draped in designer grief and counterfeit empathy. She turns every solemn tribute into a photo opportunity, every scar into a set piece. The woman wouldn't know sacrifice if it bled out in front of her. And as for Harry, he had once earned our respect, but he sold it for a docu-series and a podcast that even Spotify couldn't stomach. He abandoned his regiment, his family, his queen, then came crawling back to the very veterans he left behind, hoping their heroism might cover the stench of his cowardice. But the veterans saw through him now. See through him now. It's very faint. He's no brother in arms. He's a cautionary tale. The games were built by warriors, forged in agony, sanctified by those who've suffered beyond imagining. They are not a red carpet for grifters, nor a stage for Meghan's endless performances of self-infatuation. Invictus must cast them out, not politely, not discreetly, ruthlessly, because every second they remain near this sacred institution is a second too long. Our wounded deserve dignity, not drama, service, not spectacle, honour, not Harry. Enough. I have for some time been making the point that it is not in Invictus's interest to have Harry remain its patron. Harry is toxic. He and Meghan have destroyed their reputations. They have polluted their pond. Nobody in their right mind wants to swim in it. Harry should do the decent and the honourable thing and resign. Will he do it? Do pigs fly? The pigs fly. Let's see. Let's see, Mr. Piggles. Ah, I know what this is all about. There's the pig in lipstick. That's what there is. The pig in lipstick. Honk, honk, Megsy baby. Anything for a photo op. Anything for an opportunity to pretend that she is as wonderful as she would like us to believe she is, and as wonderful as she tries to convince herself she is. I think Edward Fortescue should be given a medal, and I also think that bravery is well worth acknowledging. And I would suggest to anybody who wants to write in to Invictus and suggest that they invite Harry to stand down. And really, it's the families of all the vets who should actually be up in arms. And many of them have been privately, because those veterans and their families pay to take part in the games. Harry and Meghan. And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Thank you so much. Take good care. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and Godspeed.